That's our connection.
Hey, we're back, and you're watching us live on the YouTube.
You hid all your hair under that hat, huh?
Yeah, I
It's
got
like
the
it's like a
side.
little kid who got a bad haircut that's trying to hide it. Okay, there it
No,
is.
that's okay. It is weird because it's shaved on the side. You see,
Yeah, I see that.
but I wanted to keep it long, but wanted to be able to wear a hat. So here we are.
Okay. Okay.
Summertime.
Yeah, listen, if you're watching this, it means you're on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe and leave a comment for
Yep.
us. You can find all of our content either here or on any podcast application by
Mhm.
searching No South Connection. But this stuff, No Holds Barred Special Edition, video only. So if you're watching here, you're part of an exclusive club
You got
that
to
is
deal with
watching this.
our ugly mugs.
Your ugly mug, yes.
At least I'm not hiding it under a beard.
It's not true. It's a very thin beard.
Yours or mine? Mine is not in yet, but I'm gonna shave some. I'm not a beard. I get too itchy. Anyway, speaking of itchy, we have an itch that we're about to scratch because we did it before. We're gonna do it again. We're doing this little thing called What If, which I, as a kid, love the Marvel Comics What If. I'll
Mm-hmm.
never forget reading What If the Avengers had fought Galactus instead of Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
It did not go well. The Earth was destroyed,
Oh.
and I was hooked. But we're doing it
What
with wrestling.
if
What
the
if?
Avengers just got married and lived in a quaint little country cottage?
Well, I mean, which one got married?
All of them.
Like to each other?
Yeah, just all of them.
Oh,
They
okay.
paired off and all got married.
I don't know. I feel like kind of bad if you're suddenly you go from like living your life then having to take the Hulk. Like
No, does the gamma does it transfer
well,
through fluids?
it's not the fluids; it's the force by which the fluids will be
Fluided.
shot out.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's
Can
not
we
what this
stop
show's
talking
about.
about fluids?
This show is about wrestling, pro wrestling what ifs. There's so many throughout wrestling history. Last episode we did a really fun one. It was what if Sting was the third man in the NWO.
Yep.
That was quite the unraveling. So wrestling is filled with these things, right? And what we did
Mm-hmm.
is we asked our buddy Marcus to send us a list
Yeah.
of
And he
potential
look,
ideas.
he sent us the initial list, but I think it'd be really cool if anybody listening to this, if you have something that pops in your head that you think is
Mm-hmm.
like a really great what if, send it and we'll try to deal with it.
Throw it in the comments. That would be a fantastic thing you could do for
Yeah.
us. And we're gonna aim to do one an episode. If it
That's
goes
right.
quick, we'll sneak in a second one. We have not looked at these though. The list for Marcus is fresh, going in
All
fresh. All right.
Mm.
Let's see. Marcus's second idea was, oh boy, this is right up your alley.
Uh-oh.
Bogus.
Oh no! Is it Sid?
What if Sid Insane Justice
Right
does
here.
not leave the WWF in the spring of 1992?
Well, um, he's obviously world champion very quickly. I 92 is such a great, it's such a cool, interesting turnover year.
Mm.
Because in like 6 months, they lose Hogan, Sid, Jake,
Warrior, ostensibly.
Warrior.
Bulldog.
Yeah, like if they're all gone, like these
The Mountie.
foundational pieces. Yeah. They get him back in
So,
94, though.
all right. So Sid gets, I guess, as the story goes, shit can for steroids, right? Fails to piss his house.
Right.
He's gone because he was booked after Mania because he does the Superstars interview where like setting up feud with the Warrior.
Yeah, and he talks about the Warrior in his in all of his shoot interviews too.
Yes, so they were set to feud. Warrior ends again transition to Shango after Sid leaves.
Yeah.
So we know we're getting Warrior Sid. So we got to start there.
Yeah.
Now the way that the Summer '92 goes, we see that not every feud that starts in April makes it to SummerSlam, right? So like,
no.
I don't think we can pencil in Warrior Sid SummerSlam.
No, in fact, I think that the WWF Championship match becomes Randy Savage defending against Sid.
You don't think it's Warrior?
No, I think they go to
disagree.
something. I think they go to something new because I think the long play is Warrior beating Sid for the belt, and I don't think you do that. I think you make Warrior chase that belt.
See, I think Warrior comes back with the promise of a title match. But I guess, I mean, if it wasn't going to be Wembley, I guess it was probably going to be Savage Flair, right? So it's not happening there anyway.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking maybe something along the lines of Warrior gets a SummerSlam title shot. It goes the same way it went. Flair gets the belt back the same way he did. Flair then loses. Flair keeps it till Mania and loses to a face Sid, who wins the Rumble. I don't think they can resist turning Sid face. I think he gets himself over by being a killer, and I think he does it because you can even have Warrior. I mean, even if you want to do Warrior wins the belt and loses to Flair, that's fine too. But I think Flair wins it back at some point and puts over Sid at Mania. I mean, there were rumors though they were going to try and turn Warrior heel too. So like, they could have turned Warrior heel and Sid beats him at Mania, but that's unlikely.
I think the Warrior turning heel is in the context of Sid not being there.
Right.
Because I think with Sid, you have that heel that you've invested all this time into. See, I think if you want to do...
But what's their track record of heels like that with that long of a run?
Well, they do it the next year. They do it the very next year with a weaker version of that.
Yeah, but he was like brand new.
Yeah.
How many guys have... No, I mean, not by... So you're having him win the belt at SummerSlam?
Yeah.
He beat Savage at SummerSlam a year in, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, look, a year in, but like he doesn't really do much that first few months because he gets hurt, right?
I know, but he's there.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I think Sid. I mean, you probably do the same ending at WrestleMania with Hogan because Hogan's going to go off and into the sunset anyway. For me, you have Sid beat. Savage at SummerSlam, and
so how do we get from Sid Warrior to Sid Savage?
The same way you get to all these storylines that kind of start and stop. Like, how did they go from Savage Flair to Savage Warrior? It was all of a sudden Warrior was declared the #1 contender.
Yeah, right? Yeah, but Warrior didn't have like a hot summer feud. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just with Shango. It feels like Warrior Sid is a big feud to like not have.
Well, you could have Warrior hurt, or you could have Warrior sidetracked with Papa Shango. They got together anyway, right, at WrestleMania.
So you do Warrior Shango and Sid Savage at SummerSlam.
Yeah. And then Sid beats Savage. And then if you want to do, like, if you think they're going to turn him face, right, I think there's probably something really interesting where you could do, like, Sid Flair at Survivor Series, right? And then have Warrior win the Rumble.
Yeah, I don't know. I see them. It feels like they really liked Sid as a face. That's how he came in. And I think that was going to be... Well, I think they only turned him because of Hogan. I think they needed something... for Hogan to do once they decided that Hogan wasn't going to fight Flair at Mania.
Well, his whole crux... So if you listen to his shoot interviews... And I mean, look, who knows if he's telling the truth or not. But his whole crux is when he came in, he was promised Hogan's position as #1 face. And which I'm sure Vince made the promise to everyone, right?
Yeah, but why wouldn't you? Look at him. Of course. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's too hard to not make him the next Hogan. Warrior's not the next Hogan. They know that. But that's why I don't think they're marching to that.
But they're not marching to it anyway after WrestleMania because you're not going to turn Sid face.
You don't have to.
Against. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's in their priority. But when Hogan leaves, there's a big void, right? And instead of filling that void with Sid, which they could have done, I like to fill every void with Sid. But instead of filling that void with Sid, they fill it with.
Well, Sid's gone in 2 weeks, so
but they put him with the Warrior, which continues him on the heel run. And it was because of that he says that one of the reasons why he left is that he was going to be a heel and then a face. But then they put him in the feud with the other top face.
Yeah, I still think they're going to have too hard of a time not getting back to that position. Because how do you look at that guy and not see him as being the next Hogan for Vince? Because they don't have another Hogan right now. They have no Savage. They don't trust Savage to be that guy. That's obvious.
They bring him in '95 to be a heel too.
The world's already changed. They have Diesel by that point. That's their Hogan. I'm saying they don't have a Hogan in '93, in '92, '93, because they know it's not Savage. Yeah. And they know it's not Warrior because Warrior's already walked out on them once. He's volatile, and they don't go with him anyway. They don't go with him in '92. He doesn't win at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I just think there's a way to turn him while still having him as champion. I think he's I think if he stays, he becomes the focal point of the company, right? it becomes Sid's promotion from 92 to 93.
This is what I think you do. I think you have him as he stays as Flair's bodyguard guy, like muscle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's Sid Warrior throughout the summer. Flair usurps and gets that title shot. Sid, maybe they do something like, oh, they tell Sid if him and Flair help Savage retain the belt, Flair says we'll set you up, to be the guy, right?
Yeah.
To beat Savage. They screw him. Flair takes the title shot, wins the title. Sid's pissed. Now Sid has the impetus to turn on Flair as like the guy, and that sets up your winter program. Sid's gonna go through the Rumble into Mania, and he ends Flair's run
I just
and
think Sid,
and is crowned as champion in your top face.
yeah, I just think Sid is not a good top face. I mean,
Yeah, but they
not
don't
in
know that at that point.
but
They
not in
think
this
he is.
world. I don't think they think he is because they turn him so quick.
They
And
only
I
did
know,
it because of Hogan.
how do you know that?
Because Hogan needed someone to fight. He didn't want to be the two of them together. You even said he said in a shoe interview he was going to have a quick heel run and then go back face.
No, he was never supposed to have a heel run. Like he was supposed to be a face, and they turned him heel. They turned him heel, like to. I don't know why they turned him heel. Like you're. I don't know if it was just to fight Hogan. There's other options to fight Hogan at WrestleMania 8 if we need other heel options. Like
Not that big of a deal. I don't think they had anyone. If it's not going to be Flair, Sid's your next choice.
it could be Jake. Jake was hot enough to fight Hogan.
They're not going to feed him to Hogan. I think
Undertaker.
Taker. They wanted to make Taker.
Yeah. Yeah, like look, I think there's a way you could do either. Like I mean, look, I think one of the reasons why we get the Rumble 93 being for the WWF Championship is because at that point there's no real clear-cut number one storyline or number one contender for that belt. So maybe that doesn't happen if Sid's around too. Like, because the storyline's already built. You don't need the guy to win the Rumble to get the title shot at WrestleMania at that point. I don't know if that was the impetus or not, but that's what makes sense to me because they never did it before.
But I think it's the opposite. I think they liked in 92 having stakes, and it made the Rumble seem so much more important that they wanted to continue the stakes, and this was the best way to do it.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's other things you could do, right? Like, I mean, who knows? Like,
I just don't see them wanting to go to Warrior as the guy because they know he doesn't work already. And he was never going to be hotter than he was in 1990. And it didn't work. He beat Hogan and it bombed. Like, so I just don't see them building another year to him winning the title at WrestleMania again over Sid, who's a younger guy that they were gaga over like that soon before.
I mean, the flip side is they don't even necessarily need, like, if you want to do Warrior winning the Rumble and going and fighting at WrestleMania, Sid could beat him. If Sid is the face, how about you turn Warrior heel at that point?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they had talked about doing that anyway, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like what I laid out with, because you've already laid the groundwork, the seeds for Sid being Flair's kind of, I don't say lackey, but almost like Flair's using them. They teamed up in February. Maybe you just bring them a little tighter together. And Flair, like I said, Flair's like, I can get you to the top. I'll make sure you're not getting politicked out. Help me. Let's take care of Savage together. Whatever it is throughout that summer. You take care of Warrior. I'll take care of Savage. I'll get you the belt. Something like that. He screws him out of it. Flair gets the title for himself. It's a ready-made storyline. And you set up Sid to get revenge. And then you can feed Ramon to Sid too, right? So Sid turns on Flair. Flair brings in Ramon as his new guy. And now you do Sid Ramon at Survivor Series or whatever. He's kind of taken Perfect's place in a way. Yeah. And then you go into the Rumble. Sid's going to win the Rumble to get the shot at Flair. Sid creams him at WrestleMania. He's your new face guy to take you through 93.
Yeah, I just think that's like, I don't know.
That takes away Bret's title run. That's what we're killing here, too.
I don't care about that. I actually don't care. I don't find that title run that interesting.
No, I know.
Glad Bret
but you wonder if it really, it makes you wonder if he, like the butterfly effect of Bret, if he doesn't get the belt there, does he ever get back to that space?
Or maybe he wins the Rumble and fights Sid as a heel. Like, I don't know if necessarily Sid turning face is, at this point, I think in 92 is going to depend entirely what's around him, right? I think if you surround him with good sympathetic faces, I think you can keep him heel.
Right.
Like, who knows? Maybe Flair turns face at some point, to try and fight Sid, right? And that might be interesting because Flair's actually a really effective face. And maybe you throw all these faces at Sid. So like you throw like Sid beats Savage at SummerSlam. Sid beats Flair at Survivor Series. Sid beats Warrior at the Royal Rumble and then loses to Bret.
I just don't think Bret gets there, at least not right away. Like
Probably not.
I don't think they wanted Bret in January if he doesn't get it in September. Because I mean, if you go by all the stories, it was kind of a hasty haste. Like, oh, we just need someone now. Let's go. It's good. Now's the time for Bret. I don't see them having him win the Royal Rumble and beat Sid at Mania.
And in all of these scenarios too, we're omitting the fact that they were clearly cracking down on steroids guys, right?
Yep.
Like Sid is not part of that purge. He's a different purge, right? So it's like, Marcus
he may be going to Survivor Series anyway.
That's it, right? So that might be a totally different thing. So I think we've kind of omitted that.
I mean, and who knows what happens with Yoko? Maybe he comes in as a heel. Maybe they keep him with the head shrinkers. Maybe they don't see him, or they build him up as the next big challenger to Sid. You go Sid Yoko in '93.
See what I would like out of
does Hogan still come back?
Well, yeah. Maybe the head shrinkers are a bigger deal, and it becomes like a 6-man tag.
Yeah, well, that was the original plan.
Maybe WrestleMania 9. So let's just see this through before we get out of here. So like, let's just imagine we're on my path for a second, okay? So WrestleMania 9, what it could look like is Sid and Bret on top. Who knows if they do it, but that might be cool. Underneath it, Ultimate Warrior against Ric Flair.
Yep.
Because Flair was upset that he wasn't being used in the main part, right? But a feud with Warrior is great. And what if we have a 6-man of the head shrinkers and Yoko against Hogan, Beefcake, Savage?
Hey, you could do something like that.
Yeah. Or Hogan and the Steiners. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if Hogan comes back. I think he came back because he saw a void with Bret being a weak top guy. So if you go my path where Sid's the top face, I don't think Hogan comes back because what's the point? He's just going to come back and be second to Sid. He's not going to do it. I don't think he does it. And I don't think Vince panics and goes to him because I think he sees Sid as a viable contender. I don't think he had the faith in Bret, and I think he felt he needed a top guy to take on Yoko.
Yeah, I just think Sid's not that guy as a face.
I don't think they knew that yet. That's my point.
I know. But I'm saying I think it ultimately fails, right?
Probably. Because I think it probably does too. But I think they at least try it. I think he wins at Mania and they try. And they give him the diesel. They try until it runs into the ground.
Right. Did they change him? They make him the smiling, happy guy?
I don't think Sid plays that game. So no. I think nationally did it because he wasn't established and he knew he just had to go with it.
He's just happy to be there.
But I think Bret could be the big loser in all that.
And Shawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bret, where does he fit? Does he leave? Does he go to WCW? He may take off because he may not see a path to the top unless Sid really, craps out fast. But I think Bret only rises because of the steroid thing. And like you said, in this world, if Sid's sticking around, I guess we're not giving a shit about the steroid thing, right? So maybe
no matter what, we're gonna get there eventually, right? Which is why, it just might happen a bit later, where they're saying we're phasing these guys out or whatever. That's the scenario in which you could see Bret winning the Rumble and beating Sid, right?
Yeah, maybe 94
or even 93 if it happens a bit earlier, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
No matter what, in either of these scenarios, WrestleMania 9 is better.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And I think whatever title run comes out of it, it's probably better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not anti-Yoko. I'm fine with him, but I think we probably get something that's a little bit more entertaining. No. I think if we can build a world with 9 doesn't end with Hogan beating Yokozuna, it's better.
Well, they could have just done that if Bret Hart fights Randy Savage. All right.
All right, we're out. We'll leave comments, suggestions to do more of these. We'll be back, as always, is with these special editions. Could be months, could be weeks, could be days when you see us again. But you can find us every Saturday with our proper No Holds Barred show.
That's right.
Twice a month we do drafts with our friends. Twice a month, Aaron and I are going through every WWE World Title change in history. So that's every single Saturday, 11 a.m. Saturday. We're here. Talk to you later. Jackass.
Ah!